One of the things that we have to establish, that anybody in any department has to establish, is that they are competent and they are credible.
Competent and credible. That's for anybody.
For anybody, anywhere.
Welcome back to another lesson of East Maine 101. I'm your facilitator, City of Jackson Communications Director Kenneth Cummings. And for lesson 24, I am joined with City of Jackson, Tennessee City Recorder and Director of Budget and Finance, Nathan Reed. Nathan Reed.
Hey, Kitty.
What's going on, Nathan?
It's been a long day already, bro.
It has been a long day already, and it's Thursday.
Tomorrow's Friday.
And tomorrow's Friday. That's what matters. I have this thing about the weeks. Mondays, Tuesdays are the work days. Wednesday means it's 2 days closer to Friday. Thursday is technically Friday, and Friday is Friday.
Friday is Friday.
Friday is Friday. But today's Thursday. Welcome in, Nathan. I'm excited to have you.
I'm glad to be here.
Excited to talk to you about all things government money.
Oh, Lord.
I have this thing. how do I say it? I like spending my money. Government money is a totally different world.
You're not kidding.
Oh, my gosh. So we're going to get into that. So as I always start off, read a bio. Nathan Reed is a native of Dyer, Tennessee. He attended Rose College and served as city recorder for the city of Dyer for over a decade, where he managed city finances, ensuring accurate financial reporting and compliance with regulations, among other duties. Reed also served as a member of the Gibson County Government Tourism Committee and is a past Gibson County Commissioner and former City Council member alderman for Dyer. While living in Memphis, he attended Rhodes College. Reed recognized the beauty in a multicultural city, where he became employed with the Center of Southern Folklore and the Orpheum Theater. We love downtown Memphis.
Amen.
Reed's other interests include hiking, kayaking, day tripping, and reading fiction and nonfiction. Nathan Reed, very extensive bio. We love learning about ourselves.
You did a good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Shout out to press releases.
Shout out to press releases. Where'd you get all that information?
I got it from this website. I forgot the name of it, but it's like nathanreed.com.
That's
something
right.
like that.
That's right.
Nathan Reed, again, I'm excited to have you on East Maine 101 to talk government money and what you do. So start off, Nathan Reed. Who is Nathan Reed? We see in your bio that you enjoy hiking, kayaking, day tripping, and reading fiction. I always thought that you were an actor, but the way you are, you seem like you could be on stage and make people laugh. But let's know who Nathan Reed is.
I seem to make people laugh a lot, and it's unintentional. I tell people I wish I could be intentionally funny, because being unintentionally funny is fun, but I wish I could get up on stage and do things like that. And I look at the Jackson Improv people. I wish I could do that. I can't do that. Friday night, we were downtown hanging out with some folks, and we were at Franklin's Little Bar. Can I do shout-outs?
Yeah, you can do shout-outs.
Okay. We were at Franklin's Little Bar, and I was on the patio back there with some folks, and they asked me how my week was going, and I told them, I said, it's been great. And then I went into a recitation of the things that we did last week, and when I got done, they all clapped. And because they were laughing the whole time. And I'm like, I didn't mean this to be funny. This is it. No, but who am I? You look at me and you think, this guy can't hike. I mean, let's be honest.
You can do anything.
I know
you
I
set
can
your
do
mind
anything
to.
I want to. No, so my rule on hiking is like, I don't do this in the wintertime. I like to do it in the summer. I like to go places that I can put my feet in the water. I like going to waterfalls. Okay. I've got a waterfall route. Do you hike?
I don't. I walk.
Well, that's okay. So hiking is just hiking. No. Hiking is just walking with a purpose to something neat. That's what I'm.
Okay.
Do.
So not necessarily climbing a mountain. Not necessarily. Yeah. Okay.
No, I
got you.
I mean, again, let's take a look at me. It's not like I'm going to be doing a lot of vertical, or you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's fun, and I like doing that. I like to be on the water, and that's why I say kayaking. I like to be in a boat. I like to travel. But I like my own bed, too. Do you like your own bed? I love
my own bed.
So
shout out to our own bed.
Shout out to our own bed. So the thing is, you can be, if I can get there in 3 or 4 hours and then be back home, I love that.
Okay.
So there's nowhere neat within 3 hours of Jackson that I haven't been. You know what I'm saying? I like to travel with people. I mean, you were talking about Monday. I just like people in general. You're talking like how your week is. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. My social life is so screwed up It's like, no, because, you're supposed to go out on the weekends.
Right.
A lot of times it's like, I've got to have the weekend to rest, man, because it's, we've been doing something Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. The other thing, it's like I've got all of these nieces and nephews, and you've heard me talk about them and what they're doing, and you can tell I'm proud of them. This is the South, and so they're not necessarily blood relatives.
Right.
Their families have adopted me, and I've adopted their kids.
Uncle Nathan.
Uncle Nathan.
Uncle Nathan.
Or Uncle Bobby.
Uncle Bobby. Yes.
Most of them call me Bobby. Which can be confusing in the city of Jackson if you, because my predecessor's name was Bobby.
Right.
But yeah, we spend a lot of time with them every chance I get, and then let's see, the bio said I like to read. I read all the time. I'll tell you something. This is interesting. Maybe you won't judge me. I have a television in my house. Most people do. I don't think I've turned it on in 10 years.
Wow. So it's probably is it one of the newer models, or is it one of the big JCPenney box TVs?
No. It's a flat screen. But let me tell you. So it's a 43-incher.
Okay.
And everybody was getting flat screen televisions. You remember when they became popular?
Yeah, when they were like $2,000, $3,000.
Right. So I, being a conservative spender, cheap is not the right word, but I wasn't going to buy a brand new television. Okay. So I waited until they started showing up on Woot.com, and I bought a refurbished 43-inch television, and I've still got the thing. And it is a flat screen, and I think it still works because it still shows up on the Wi-Fi network.
There you go.
But I hadn't turned it on in a long time. But it's not that I don't watch TV. I just don't watch it at the house.
Right.
I would rather be reading a book, just to be honest with you. Now, like we're rewatching West Wing at my parents' house. When I go out there, that's what they do.
Okay.
And if you want to go to your house and watch Lord of the Rings, man, I'm there. But what I found over the years is that if I sit in front of the television at my house, I can sit down at 6 o'clock, and I look up at 10, and I'm trying to figure out what did I do for the last 4 hours.
Yeah.
You know what
Totally
I'm saying?
Understand.
So anyway.
Okay. So back to the hiking thing, waterfalls. I've always enjoyed waterfalls. Never been to one here in Tennessee. I know that's sad. I know. The face you're giving me, I understand. I've got a lot of friends who have gone. Fall Creek Falls, Ruby Falls, and all the waterfalls. I've always wanted to go to one. What's your favorite? Okay, you have a bunch.
There are a series. Well, first of all, Burgess Falls, which is outside of Cookeville, Tennessee.
Okay,
it's gorgeous. And now it's not one that you're going to get up under and play under because it's so much water you can't do that. Mm-hmm. Okay, but it is gorgeous, and you can get out over the top of it. And I've got photos, and if I send you a photo, could you like pop it in? Could you pop it in right here?
Pop the thing. I can do that.
You can get out right over the edge and look and it's so far down, and you can feel the water's flowing so fast. You can actually wade out in the top of it. Okay. You can feel the wind from the water that's flowing, and it is absolutely gorgeous. But my favorites, just the things to go to. Mm-hmm. That's a hike. It's all on Burgess Falls is all paved or it's like wooden walkways and things. It's hard to get down there, but my favorite, there's 2 or 3 right in Natchez Trace on this side of the river, and I cannot remember the names of all of them, but one of them you hike down into this gorge, which again might be, it's
hike down.
Yeah, no, it really is a hike.
Oh, it's a hike
it is literally a hike down there, and the hike up is worse. You get down on the bottom, and there's a huge pool down there where the water is coming over. Okay. And I'll send you a picture of this one too. Okay. And I want to haul a chair down there and just sit there with my feet in the pool. Water, yeah. But there's about 3 right there on the west side of Nashville that you can do them all the same day. It's gorgeous. Okay. And then outside of Cookeville, there is a private waterfall. And you have to pay to get in there. Okay. But they're huge. I think they call that one Horseshoe Falls. Okay. And I've got some pictures of that one. Anyway.
Now, how did you get into waterfall? Like,
Well, ask me how I got into hiking.
Okay. How'd you get into hiking?
Okay. So during the pandemic. Okay. So
when was that? No, I'm kidding.
No, I have regularly gone on long walks with people that I liked.
Okay.
Okay. All over Land Between the Lakes. We've been Southern Illinois. Lots of places. Bell Smith Springs in Southern Illinois. You should do that one. Write that down. Bell Smith Springs. So I did that pretty regularly, a couple of times a year with some friends of mine. And then the pandemic happened. and we had Jed and Colin, my nephews. One's at UT and one's in France right now. You remember them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were, of course, school was doing the weird things, and the weekends were off, and you're not supposed to hang out with people, but because we were close, I was seeing them anyway, and I'm like, do you guys want to go hiking? I'm like, that's better than just sitting at home, And so we started into that, and I discovered very quickly that if summertime is a lot of fun to hang out and be able to put your feet in the water somewhere.
Yeah.
So I hike in Chacos most of the time. Okay. I'm not supposed to. You hiking people out there, don't judge me for that. But the trails are pretty well cleared, and so I'm not worried about critters and snakes and whatnot. But that's how I got into waterfalls, because those guys, they're just a lot of fun. It's just fun. You can goof off and throw water at each other. Yeah.
And just like you said, feet in the water. I'm a summertime. I was, of course, born in the fall. I'm not a fan of winter. I'm looking forward to consistent sun now. Looking forward to it. I like the beach. I enjoy going to the beach.
I love everything about the beach except the sand.
Have you been to the right beach?
Which one are you talking about?
I go to any beach on the Gulf.
Oh, okay.
Sands are nice and white.
Oh, no. I like that thing. But the thing is, so it's like right now, if you go to my car right now, there is sand in that car.
Oh, bringing it back.
Bringing it into the condo, bringing it into the car.
Yes.
I've got sand in my tennis shoes right now. I've got them in the office. If we turn them upside down, sand will come out.
Okay.
But let me tell you what I love about the beach. Okay. The neat thing about the beach, I love to take a nap. Do you like to take a nap?
Love taking naps. Okay. Naps are essential.
So the thing about that, you can go to the beach, you can be warm all over, but you don't get hot because that ocean breeze is going there all the time.
Yeah.
I love it.
I've taken naps, long naps on the beach, and it just so happened where the sun is not like directly on us, and just enough cloud cover to not burn you, and just nobody bothers you.
No.
And I love it because everybody's got their own thing.
So where do you go?
Orange Beach is my favorite.
Orange Beach?
I remember I think it was my 30th birthday, I wanted to go to a beach. I found Orange Beach, just so happened. I was looking for hotels on the beach, found Orange Beach, got down there, and have loved it ever since. So we try to go once a year now.
When I was growing up, when I was a little kid, we went to Fort Walton Beach.
Okay.
And then later on, we started going to Destin, and now the last 6 or 7 years when I've gone to PCB, but not really PCB. It's like Laguna, which a little west of PCB, and it's a lot calmer. And at this point in my life,
feet in the water.
That's right.
That's it. Look, Orange Beach it's not your touristy. Of course, you got Gulf Shores right next door. That's kind of touristy. Orange Beach is where you go to just relax, and I enjoy that. So again, I'm looking forward to the sun, consistent warm weather, so that I can get down to a beach. But at some point, I do want to get to somebody's waterfall here in Tennessee. Tennessee has beautiful waterfalls.
We should make a trip.
Make a trip.
There are people here that would go with us.
Okay, I know Zach.
Zach would go in a heartbeat.
Definitely a waterfall kind of guy. So, Nathan Reed, you've got a lot of social. You are a social guy, or at least from what I see. First impressions of you was this guy. He is an actor. He can do yes and easily improv. I'm shocked that you're not a part of the improv group, because the way you can come off the cuff when you're talking to council, it's pretty funny. It's amazing. It's actually, you have everybody in the room laughing.
I don't pay any attention.
Oh my gosh, you should watch yourself in these videos. I'm probably start recording you from where I sit for council meetings so you can see yourself.
Did you get my email the other day?
I didn't get you. Which one?
The one about where the camera is?
Oh, yes, I did. We'll talk to Brian about that and see.
Because you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, it's right.
I got a little glare right up here.
Yes,
okay,
right.
I don't know. Yes. I either need to powder this or where.
Well, you know what? Might need to get some powder room for you, just for you, for our city council live meeting.
You could just put a camera right there.
One camera in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay, we can talk to Brian about that. I'll bring one of my cameras down.
That'd be good.
Right for you. So when you're in transition and when you're down there, you are the city recorder, and from the press release we sent out, the city recorder's office is the repository for all official documents with the city: ordinances, resolutions, minutes of meetings, deeds, contracts, agreements, maps, other information available to the viewing public upon request. The city recorder It's interesting. You're not hired, or how does that work? I know Mayor, he recommends you to the council, and the council approves. You're like the only one that a council approves. How does a city recorder work? What does a city recorder do, and what else besides holding these documents do you do?
In Jackson, the city charter in Jackson is like the Constitution. Okay, so the charter says I think there are two people that are appointed by city council. It's the city recorder and the city engineer, I think. Am I wrong?
I don't know if it's engineer. Oh, the mayor will get me if I don't know that.
Oh, don't worry about it.
I think it's city manager.
We don't have a city manager.
I don't think that's why. I don't know. We'll look into that.
We'll look at. Yeah, you could actually flash a copy of the charter.
Put it at the bottom right here.
Yeah, that's right. Now, it's the city council is the appointing body for me. The mayor nominates me, and the city council confirms me. Mm-hmm. And so that creates, honestly, everybody else in this building works for the man across down the hall here,
right.
and I do too. But I answer to him and the city council, and that creates some interesting dynamics sometimes. But the office that I'm in, city recorder, is first of all, it goes back to actually England. The title recorder goes back to England, and recorders then were in charge of making sure that documents were stored and recorded correctly. And then over time, they became quasi-judicial officers. So you would hear about recorders' courts. Mm-hmm. And so as opposed to a general sessions court or something, if you stole somebody's chickens, you would go to the recorders' court. And in Tennessee, lots of states have lots of different. What are you laughing at?
You just brought up chickens, and
chickens.
It's something we had. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. So, and a lot of states have got different titles for different things. You hear city clerks, you see stated clerks, you see things like that. Tennessee is one of the states, because there's an English heritage here, that they call them city recorders. Okay. And in Tennessee, up until the Judicial Reform Act of some year that I can't remember, most city courts were held under the authority of the city recorder. And so you look at some cities their city recorders still have judicial functions. Mm-hmm. And so in the town that I came from, the only holdover there was if you had a dog that you thought was vicious, the city recorder was in charge of the hearing to determine if the dog was vicious.
How biased is that?
Well, so I only had, in 11 and a half years, I did 3 of those that actually came to a hearing. And I mean... Is it
that bad and dire? No, I'm kidding.
In 3 and a half years, in 11 and a half years, I had 3. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not a big deal.
Right.
And so you have to give a pretty well-reasoned legal reason why this dog under the ordinance would be vicious. That way if somebody appeals it. But that's not what we do anymore. Most cities, city recorders, in addition to being sometimes a clerk to the council, which by the charter here sort of I am, but there are people, Markeisha downstairs does a great job at that particular thing. In addition to being clerk to the council and keeping the minutes and being the official repository of the documents of the city, city recorders, mostly in Tennessee and other places that have them, end up being the fiduciary or the chief financial officer or whatever it is for the city they're in. Mm-hmm. And so here in Jackson, the recorder's office is the custodian of the city's funds, property. The city recorder's office here handles revenue of all types, which is property tax, sales tax, revenue from other departments. So ticket sales at the NED end up coming into the revenue department here, and those wonderful ladies downstairs receipt that and take care of that. Mm-hmm. We do business regulation. So if you start a business in Jackson, you have to apply for a business license. Right. And I want to talk more about that later, if we get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to the future.
But we issue business licenses, and to get a business license in Jackson, you pay your fee, you fill out your form, then you end up in planning and building, and we're just the start of the process there. But we also make sure that people keep their business licenses updated. If there's a change, we track that sort of stuff. We coordinate beer permits. Beer permits in the city of Jackson are issued in my name. At the bottom right, it says Nathan Reed, city recorder. Right. It's kind of weird, But Jessica Ernie in my office is the point person for that, and we coordinate closely with the beer board and to get those issued and to make sure people are in compliance. We also enforce the city's liquor ordinance, and you don't really want to go into what that is.
I remember. I was in the room.
Okay, and we've got that. And then, of course, you talked about records retention. We keep the official certified copies of the ordinances, the resolutions. We're responsible for the records like minutes, and in Tennessee, for the most part, the city recorder is responsible for all the records of the city. So the other day, I had a call from another department who wanted to figure out about disposition of some records, and she wanted to make sure that I was okay with that. And that, it's an interesting thing. The city recorder's office is a hodgepodge of a lot of things that are sort of connected and sometimes not connected at all. The other thing, talking about records, so the city recorder's office here is the public records place. And so if you want to make a public records request, if you want to see the building permit for somebody's house, or you want to see a copy of some minutes or something, you can make a public request for those records, and we'll try to get them back to you, because Tennessee is one of the great states that has pretty open public records policies. And this is the government of the people that live here. It's the government of the people in Tennessee, and they deserve and to see how we do that. And if they want to see just about any document we have, we'll produce it for them. And it's a lot bigger job in Jackson than it is in some smaller cities. I mean, you've been part of some of those that we've done, and it's an all the time thing.
And I was going to get to that. Dyer and Jackson, two totally different cities, of course, population-wise, size-wise. You came from Dyer, and you had the same role. What's the difference between, or similarities between, Dyer and Jackson?
Most of the things that we've talked about here so far are very similar. Okay. But in Dyer, if you had, if your neighbor's chickens were keeping you up at night, you'd call City Hall and you'd talk to the city recorder, and the city recorder would send out a mean letter.
To the chicken owner.
To the chicken owner, yeah.
Okay.
And if I sent you a letter in Dyer about your chickens, it's not personal.
Right.
If there's a pothole that needs to be fixed, they'd call the city recorder's office. We'd talk about that.
In Dyer.
In Dyer,
okay.
Yeah. In Dyer, if we were working on grant programs, park grants, CDBG grants, all of that stuff, we managed all of those grants right out of my office. And so Christy David here is doing a great job on some local parks and rec grants, and the folks in Jackson should be incredibly excited about some of the things that are coming. She's managing those grants. I don't have to figure that stuff out. I just have to make sure the bills get paid. And I am so because the size of the government was so much smaller, there were many things that had been distributed here that were handled in one office in Dyer. It was some great staff, and they're still there, and I know they're doing a great job. But everything that you do in this building, we did with 3 or 4 people.
Okay.
Gotcha. I mean, just to be honest with you, your job. I mean, I was the dude sending out the press releases. I was a dude managing the social media. I mean, that was it.
So, of course, our charter is that the mayor is kind of the CEO. Is Dyer's charter different to where the city recorder has not necessarily power, but a lot more responsibility?
It is. And so both Jackson and Dyer have a private act charter. Right. Most cities in Tennessee have private act charters. There are some general law charters built into the Tennessee code, but Jackson and Dyer don't have one. Both of those cities have what they would like to refer to as a strong mayor. But in Dyer, it says in the charter that the city recorder is the chief administrative officer of the city. Okay. And if duties aren't assigned elsewhere, they fall into that office. And so if you wonder why I was worried about chickens, potholes,
and vicious dogs.
That's how it was.
Chickens, potholes, and vicious dogs. You don't have to deal with that other than documents here. No. Because there's a document related to chickens, dogs.
That's right.
And you deal with that.
Yeah.
But actually phone calls.
But I'll probably pass it off to the code building and codes folks or something like that.
Animal care, buildings codes.
Right. I wasn't done with my list of things.
I know. We'll keep going. I just want to get the difference between Dyer and Jackson, but go for it.
How's this going, by the way?
It's going great. Okay. It's going great. I'm still learning about city. I knew the paper trail that you did, and I knew the money side, but going in more detail.
So we pay all the vendor bills. So if somebody does work for the city of Jackson, they will send in an invoice to somebody, and it'll ultimately end up in the accounting department downstairs. Those are some folks just some of the hardest working folks we've got. They're working all the time. We make sure the bills get paid.
Right.
And we also make sure that the money is appropriated. The money has been budgeted to pay those bills. Ideally, you would check that before you spent the money,
That's
Kenny.
true. I know.
You haven't always known.
I haven't always known, but I do now.
Okay, I'm just saying. Get those. We pay. We do payroll. All of the payroll that we do in Jackson comes out of the same office. Every Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning, I get an email that has a copy of all of the payroll records, and I get to approve that before they go out.
Thank you.
I'm just making. No, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
And we do the financial reporting portion of this, and so the city of Jackson issues an audit every year. The state requires us to do an outside audit, and that means that we have to keep good records of how we've spent the money and be able to document those things, to be able to document that we complied with state, federal, and local regulations. And we keep those records, prepare those financial reports. Those financial reports are also available to departments, to the city council, to the mayor as they're needed. We ensure that we are complying with local, state, and federal law in the way that we spend our money, because, if you want a hot tub up here, I'm not sure that that's really going to, if you could call it therapeutic, maybe.
I can't justify a hot tub.
That's right.
That's what when I purchase things, like everything in the studio, I have a justification of why I got it. Right. That's my mentality.
Yeah.
Okay. So can't justify a hot tub.
Well, I've been trying for years, I'll be honest with you.
Good luck.
Yeah, we also ensure that folks comply with the restrictions and things on their grants that they're doing, or special money that the city gets for special purposes. We try to make sure. Well, we don't try. We do make sure that it's spent for what it's designed for. We work with other departments all the time to help them realize whatever goals they have for the funds that have been appropriated to them. Working with purchasing and the folks in accounting and revenue, accounting and purchasing are sort of part of the connective tissue.
Right.
There's nobody that doesn't deal with finance, accounting, and purchasing in this building. And so when our departments are trying to accomplish something, very often they'll come to us and say, "I want to do this. How can I get this done?" And that brings up a good point. Obviously, there are people who sometimes wonder why the city spends money in a certain way, about this priority or that priority. And I'd like to remind our city council and the people that we deal with that our job in finance, accounting, and budgeting is not a why job. It's a how job. How are we going to do this? Not why are we doing this?
Right.
And then we work with the city council and the mayor to help them realize the goals that they have. You look at a budget, and a budget is basically a statement of priorities and intention. And so once you see what somebody's budget is, you get to figure out what they really want to accomplish. And then it's our job to actually make sure that goes smoothly and we can fund it as we go. And so the things that I've described, and there are other things, Kenny, I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's the stuff shows up and we deal with it, okay? But that really means that we've got at least 3 sets of customers. We've got our most important customer are the people that live and spend money in Jackson. Right. The constituents, the voters, the property taxpayers, the business owners, all of those folks. Our second set of customers are you. You're my customer because you're sending me invoices to make sure they get paid. You're expecting to get that payroll every 2 weeks.
That's right.
And you're also asking me, how can I accomplish this thing that I want to do with the resources that I have? You're my customer. The folks that work in the city, the departments, they're our customers. And then our final customer is the mayor and the council, because they're making demands. They have expectations, and they want to know how to accomplish things. And so together with the other folks in this building, we help them accomplish the goals that they have for the city of Jackson, the people that live here.
It's a very extensive list of things that, again, a lot I did know, but a lot I didn't know. You think, again, as a recorder, all you're doing is, keeping the documents for 7 years, however long. But you do so much more, and teaming up with purchasing, accounting, revenue. It's where all the money is and how it's spent. Nathan Reed is the one to make sure that the dollars and cents are adding up, matching up, going where they need to go, letting people know that, okay, you do have $12. You don't have 13, so you can only spend 12. So that's a big list of things that you do, and I commend you on it because I only deal with the numbers that are in my account. Like government money, again, like we said at the beginning, it's a big deal because the customers, the people that we, the people of Jackson, the employees and the mayor and the council, we want to make sure that we are doing right by the taxpayers, and having you on is a crucial role in making sure we do that.
Well, and it's not just me. It's very often not even primarily me. It's a great team that we've got in finance, accounting, and revenue that are making this happen every day. And I have been incredibly pleased and uplifted, and by the accounting team that we've got, by the revenue team that we've got, and by our supervisors that work in our revenue and accounting supervisors. Those folks are hardworking people. And somebody asked me the other day, I was talking to a lady who is a hospital executive, and she happens to be a pharmacist, okay, but she's a vice president in a hospital now. She's a friend of ours. And she asked me, she said, so how's the new job? And I said, it's fine. I said, it's different. The goals are the same, but the way that we accomplish them are a little different.
And when you say different, between the hospital and the city?
No,
from
between Dyer and here.
Okay.
And she said, well, what do you mean? And I said, when I was in a smaller city, I could do all of the accounting. I could literally make the entries in the computer and do every single thing. Could do it myself. If I had to work later and work on the weekends, I could do it myself. It was perfectly possible.
Yeah.
And as I said, she's a pharmacist. And I said, when was the last time you filled a prescription? She said, it's been years. I said, I hadn't made a journal entry in months. I've done one. I wanted to learn how to do it. I spend my day answering questions. I spend my day consulting with department heads, people like you and your city council and our mayor. I spend very little time punching numbers in a computer anymore. It's a lot of.
Do you enjoy this route versus the other?
I do.
Okay.
But the thing that I love about accounting is it's always a problem to solve. It's a puzzle.
Yeah.
It's just the puzzle is bigger here. And I realize that sometimes it's not going to be me moving the individual pieces. It's me having to figure out what the puzzle's going to look like when it's done.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
And you've got a good team.
I've got a fantastic team.
You can do the inner pieces. They can do the end pieces, and
they're fantastic.
Okay.
Absolutely fantastic.
So, in the budget side of it, recently we had a big budget cycle. We don't have to go into details, but you spent a lot of time talking with council members, explaining to them and reassuring them. Talk about just in general, what is that like to get all the council members, or try to get them on one accord of, hey, here's what we have, here's what we're trying to do, here's why it's a good thing.
You asked a why question, Kenny.
I know.
So it was interesting.
Okay, how do we get council on the same page? And when you're in the room with them, how do you make sure that they are, how do you make sure they understand?
The thing that we have to do is find a way to distill the information that we've got into something that is actionable and intelligible.
Okay.
Something they can understand. I can print you a year-to-date expense report that's 144 pages long, single-spaced.
I'm not going to read it.
You're not going to read it. And some of your city councilmen will and do.
Okay.
Some of them, well, to be honest with you, unless you deal with this every single day, it is not terribly intelligible, terribly actionable, because it's hard to understand what these numbers mean. And so what we do, and what I did in that hour and 20 minutes that I sat there in that work session that day, is tried to provide information in a way that they could feel comfortable making a decision. What decision they made, I mean, you had a preference, and I'm sure that I had a preference in the way that they did this, but ultimately the thing that they had to be comfortable doing is making a decision,
right?
Whatever that decision was. And so we try to provide actionable and understandable information. and try to provide it in a way, in as many different ways as it may be necessary for them to be able to make a decision they're comfortable with, or at least the majority of them to make a decision they're comfortable with. Now, when I came in here, when I came to Jackson, Mr. Arnold was here, and he is one of the most amazing financial analysts I've ever been around. And I asked him, I said, what is your day like? And he said, I spend a lot of time answering questions. And I thought that was an interesting answer. He said, but don't worry. Oh, he said, and then he said, it'll get busy when we get to budget time. He said, but it'll be slow till mid to late February. He said, you'll have some time to. I hadn't had a slow day since I've been here.
I know. And it's about to pick back up.
But the great thing about that, okay, and so I don't resent it. It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can tell. The great thing about it is that it would have taken me months to form relationships with some of the people that I've formed relationships with in weeks in this, and that includes city council and includes some of the department heads that we've got here, and honestly some citizens that are interested, very interested in what we're doing, and I feel comfortable talking with the news media.
I know.
I mean, great people. Jackson is blessed to have these folks in the media who are paying attention and will ask questions. And I've gotten to know them. Some of them I knew already, but I've gotten to know them better. And so this cycle that we've been through, this capital budget cycle, was in some ways a blessing, because I got to form relationships much more quickly than I would have been able to do otherwise.
So you were thrown in the fire and refined really quickly, and turned into a gem.
We'll see.
Because come May, June, get ready for July.
This is not going to be the easiest budget cycle that you've seen, but it's going to be the beginning of easy budget cycles.
And with that, do you believe that because you went through what you went through in December, January, February, or as we start, do you think it'll be a little bit easier for you to be able to explain to council a little bit better, or explain to them more on, hey, here's what we have, here's what we're going to do. Don't worry about last year. Let's focus on the future.
I think so. And I think if they understand that they all have goals and there are limited numbers of resources that have to be assigned, that they can come together and figure this out. But the thing that I've learned is how to talk to those individual council members. That this individual needs to hear things a certain way, and this individual needs to hear it a slightly different way.
Because we have 9 totally different council members.
You have 9 totally different council members.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I can, having spoken with all of them, spent time with all of them now, they all have a passion for their district and a passion for the people that live here.
Do.
They don't necessarily, their passions don't necessarily always align, but the goal, they've all got the same goal. And that's reassuring to see, and I think you're right. I think it will be easier given this initial period. I'm not going to have to be figuring out as much about those people as we begin this next conversation.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. And like you say, you were throwing the fire real quick. Since I've been here, I don't think this has happened. This is a totally different council from the previous term. And like you said, each one of them, they have the same goal of making sure that we are doing right by the taxpayer. No matter how they think, overall, their goal is to make sure that Nathan Reed is assuring them, hey, we're going to be okay. And reassuring the taxpayers, we're going to be okay.
You know, and one of the things that we have to establish, that anybody in any department has to establish, is that they are competent and they are credible. Competent and credible.
That's for anybody.
For anybody anywhere.
Yes.
And so I think one of the things that happened here fairly quickly is we were able to demonstrate competence and credibility, and that's going to be useful. That's going to pay rewards throughout this year, and
it has, because we passed.
We got it done.
We got it done. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Getting it done and making sure that competency and credibility, that is a key just in life in general.
Yeah. You can write that down. You can use that somewhere else.
I'm going to use that. So I might put it like back here on the
competent
wall
and credible.
Competent and credible. Eastman 101, competent and credible. And so The city of Jackson's budget is how much?
About $100 million.
$100 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't have it on me, but as a city government, $100 million, again, a lot of money. And keeping track of it, it's a very, very important job. Government finances, it's a very important job. So for someone wanting to get into this, what advice would you give them, and what does it take to even want to deal with having the responsibility of a $100 million budget?
Basically, to start with, you have to be a detail-oriented person. And every dollar matters. And if we can balance to the penny, that's what we need to do. Getting into this, a background in accounting, whether it's a degree in accounting or some experience in accounting somewhere else, and then having being able to communicate is important. I think we've demonstrated that in the last couple of months. It was funny because I had accounting in high school and I took some accounting in college. I'm a political science major. I mean, this is not where I thought I'd end up in my life.
Right.
But I mean, I had some opportunities and I took advantage of them. Finding yourself, entering public service at all means that you are sacrificing some opportunity growth.
That's true.
In order to serve the public. And I figured out about 20 years ago that I was called to public service. Mm-hmm. And so, first of all, being able to make that mental switch, that sacrifice to say, okay, I'm not going to be on the top floor of a building in downtown Nashville. I'm going to be on the second floor of a building in Jackson, or the first floor of a building in Humboldt, mm-hmm. or wherever that is. But starting, and you got to start somewhere. And so the question there is, if you want to get in government finance, find yourself in an accounting office somewhere. Find yourself in a revenue office. It's funny because you look around this building. I don't know how many, and I'm going to call them graduates of the revenue department, are in different departments. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I don't know how many graduates of the accounting department are now the accounting managers for different departments in the city. Mm-hmm. And those people, may have opportunities elsewhere. But basically, having accounting courses is handy. Having some experience in real world government accounting, because it's not at all like keeping track of money for a business.
Right.
Well, it is something like keeping track of money for a business.
Let's say small business versus $100 million budget.
Yeah, QuickBooks won't cut it.
Right. So you can't. You can, but would you recommend someone starting? Hey, I'm a small business accountant. Let me go ahead and hop into this $100 million budget. Would you recommend that?
No.
Okay.
You need some experience somewhere.
Okay.
And the experience may be working somewhere else in that $100 million budget before you get to the office that I'm in.
Right.
But an understanding of, so I have some friends who are big-time accountants. Working for sometimes big-time companies. Mm-hmm. And we sit around and talk about some of what we do. And they're like, why in the world do you do it that way? I'm like, well, that's what the state law says, or it's what it's
basically.
that's it. And so having some experience in government accounting, or more broadly fund accounting, if the nonprofit world is more similar to government accounting than a commercial or private business is. I don't know. And it's one of those things. I have people that would like to do this. I hear from one or two folks a month, normally young people. It's like, how did you get into that? Because I think it's incredibly exciting what we do. I'll come up that elevator every day whistling, and I'm just happy to be here. But if you sat with me all day, I have no doubt you'd be bored out of your mind.
Very. I would be bored, but I would just be like, wow, that's interesting. I wouldn't want to do it, but wow, $100 million budget, you're keeping track of all the numbers. I like numbers, but again, government, it's a lot of rules. Got to make sure you're following state law, all the laws. I understand that. I get it. But it just seems like a lot. I'd rather be asking questions and taking pictures.
Right. You're doing good.
And communicating
You're
with
doing
the
well,
people,
Kenny.
the things that you are doing.
Yeah.
Versus actually being the one with my name at the bottom of the sheet saying,
Right.
hey, I'm responsible for this being paid or this money being where it's supposed to be. Not going to say I'd be afraid to do it, but that's just not my wheelhouse. So there are people who are asking you, how did you do it?
Yes.
And young people our age who are wanting to do this. And that's
It's reassuring.
Yeah.
I mean, it's reassuring because you've been around this city long enough, and actually when you were in the media too, you look, and we talk about the sacrifice of public service, and I'm not saying that we're suffering here.
Right.
We're not. But you do give it, there's an opportunity cost to do this. The sacrifice and then the scrutiny that you find yourself under. If I was, Kenny's House of Magic, keeping books for you, I wouldn't be there wouldn't be people asking me these questions and
right.
second guessing what we do from time to time. The scrutiny that's anything in public service. I mean, our city council people, I know that they get it all the time. And no, but it's reassuring to me that people want to be in public service. And it's reassuring to me that people look at government finance and think, that might be interesting. Because the thing is, and the thing that drives me, and I think the thing that drives these folks, especially when they're talking to me, is they realize the great things that we're doing in parks, you couldn't do it without the folks in my office.
Right.
The great things that we're doing. I mean, at the city council meeting the other day, we talked about the new paving machine. The city of Jackson is going to be able to do paving projects of its own. First time in memory, certainly. Now they're not going to be paving. I mean, we're still going to do some paving contractors, but if there's a spot that needs special attention, they'll be able to get that out there. They wouldn't be able to do that without the work that we're doing in our office.
Right.
And so, if you can look at it as a way to facilitate good things for the people that live in a community and to help a city council or a department or a city realize its goals, it is an exciting thing.
And like I said, it is. I mean, for someone in this role to want that responsibility, that's a big deal. I wouldn't want it. So thank you again.
Well, okay. So let me tell you. So it was funny because when this opportunity presented itself, I liked my job. I did.
Yeah.
And the reason, so I was an elected official. I have been twice.
Okay.
I've been elected to 2 different offices. You read my bio. And I left the city council to become the city recorder in Dyer. And the reason I did that is I asked myself, where can I make a bigger difference for the people I care about and the place that I care about? And so when I looked at this job, I thought to myself, where can I make a bigger difference for the people I care about and the places I care about? Yeah. And obviously I can make a bigger difference for West Tennessee here than I can in a smaller community. And if you're driven by trying to make a difference or trying to make an impact, not trying to get on Kenny's podcast, not trying to get on Channel 7, but to see the difference that you can make in a community or a region. I mean, that's a great reason to enter public service. And the people that I talk to that ask me, how did you do this? A lot of times I think that's what's driving them.
And I agree with the public service side of it. Me working for the newspaper, it was public, but it wasn't what I do now for the community, for the people for Jackson, Madison County, West Tennessee, anybody who has access to any of our social media or website. I'm that one to try to get the word out about what's happening, what's going on, where the money's going, all the things that we can communicate. I have that role of letting the people know.
But don't knock the media, because 30 years ago when I was writing, when I was writing for a newspaper, it is a form of public service too.
It is, yeah. That's what I mean. It's the media is the ones that make sure that we are,
But you get the opportunity to shape a story now.
Exactly.
And you also get the opportunity, if you want to start at the beginning of a story and follow it all the way through.
I can drive the narrative.
You can drive the narrative.
What the city is doing. Like I know what's going on. I can say, hey, media, check this out.
Right.
Here's what we're doing, versus them having to ask. And I enjoy that.
I bet you do.
So I'll keep my side. You keep your side. we'll work together to make sure we get the word out of what's going on, and we'll talk about the future and pop quiz side. So, Nathan Reed, thank you for coming on. I looked forward when you came on to the City of Jackson. I knew I need to have this guy on the podcast, and we talked about family, and you told me about your mom and how she's just the sweetest thing. I'm looking forward to meeting her.
She is. Shout out, Mom.
Shout out to Mom. I'm looking forward to meeting her. You told me that she's watched every.
I think she's watched every episode. I don't know if she watched Jason yet.
Okay, well, she'll probably watch his. It came on today.
Yeah.
It came on this Thursday, and then yours will come on today as we're recording. And I look forward to hearing what her reaction is to seeing her son, who's the city recorder, be on this podcast. Nathan Reed, city recorder, director of budget, finance, revenue, all the money. You're the money guy for the City of Jackson. Again, thank you for making sure I get paid. Of course, shout out to the mayor for signing the checks.
Amen.
And for you for making sure that the check gets to the bank.
That's right.
Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate you. There's no homework for you all today. So we're just going to enjoy the week, enjoy the weekend. But before we go, of course, we have a pop quiz. Nathan, these are 3 questions that I usually ask my guests to make sure, just so the people can get to know you a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So 3 random questions. Question number 1. You have a candy bucket on your desk. Whenever I come down there, I look in it every once in a while. It doesn't have the candy that I like, but you've got it on your desk.
What do I need to put in there?
I'll let you know.
Okay.
If you were the sole savior in the world of candy and you had to pick one brand of candy to be the last of its kind and all other candy would cease to exist, what would that candy be? Let's see if we'll still be friends.
Well, okay. I mean, I love a Fifth Avenue bar.
Okay.
Not a Butterfinger, but a Fifth Avenue bar.
Okay.
Do you know the difference?
I don't know the difference.
Well, we'll have one, and you can decide.
All right.
That's probably a Fifth Avenue bar.
Fifth Avenue bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since I've never had a Fifth Avenue bar.
So which one?
So my candy of choice would be Left Twix, specifically Left Twix.
Left Twix.
Left Twix. Specifically, it's got to be right Twix. It's just not good.
Okay.
Left Twix. I will eat a bag of Left Twix all day. Okay. That would be the last candy on earth if I had to choose.
Did I tell you?
Specifically. Left Twix.
Left Twix. Okay. Yes. I'll eat the right ones if you want me to.
You can have them.
Okay.
I will pass them on.
Okay.
There have been times where I've had bags left and right, and I'll get all the Left Twix.
Okay, so talking about Twix. So do you like the classic caramel Twix?
Yes.
So the peanut butter Twix are not. See, I almost said peanut butter Twix.
Okay.
Okay, because I love those too.
Okay.
You know where my candy bucket came from?
Where's your candy bucket come from?
First day I was here, wasn't even out of orientation. Huh. One of my best friends in the whole world, Miss Betty McWhorter, brought it and left it at the desk.
Nice.
And she said, "This is how." She said, "You can use this to make friends."
And you have.
I take it to meetings.
So Left Twix, you can put that in the candy bucket,
okay.
And you'll see me down there a lot more.
That's
so
great.
Fifth Avenue. Bring me one.
I'll
try. Honestly, I've never had one.
Okay.
We'll try that out. So pop quiz question number 2. I love your tie collection.
Thank you.
You have a very, very immaculate tie collection. Can you describe to us your favorite tie and why it's your favorite?
My favorite tie, to be honest with you, probably right now, and I can change. Okay. I mean, because ties change and fashion changes, right? Right now, my favorite tie is probably the one that I wore to City Council on Tuesday.
I'm trying to remember that one.
It was plaid.
The plaid one? Yes.
And it was it has sort of a winter-spring plaid to it, and I like it because it goes with just about everything.
Okay.
Other than that, I've got a white and red sort of a hash tie, and I really like that one a lot. But did you know, were you here on New Year's Eve day, or were you off that day?
I think I was off that day.
I wore a bow tie that day.
Okay. No, I didn't. I definitely wasn't here. I would have remembered that. Are you a bow tie guy?
I've got 30 or 40.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to teach me how to tie those. I'm a tie guy. I've never really had the love for bow ties, mainly because I don't know how to tie them.
You look good in a bow tie.
I'd love to try to tie one, so that's another thing. Fifth Avenue and learn how to tie bow ties. We'll keep it at that. Pop quiz question number 3. As city recorder, and we could talk about this even more, what are your goals for the future for the city in your role for the 3 customers that you've talked about?
So I want to affirm the staff that we've got.
Okay.
I want to affirm those folks and empower them to do the best job they can do for the taxpayer in the city. And because they are incredibly competent, they are incredibly capable, and I want to make sure that they are
credible.
They are credible too. But as far as I'm concerned, I want them to be competent and capable because I got a job that they need to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They are. But I want them to be sure that they know that we know that they are.
Okay.
And that's been fun. I mean, I've got a tremendously amazing team. We have some processes here in Jackson that have been around a while, and all processes have a chance to be improved. Mm-hmm. And we're working on improving some processes that we've got. I think those will make it easier to do some of the reporting and answer some of the questions that people ask of us. I want to maintain the public trust that we've got, and then build more relationships with the public, because we too often, especially the service departments is what I'd like to call them, we don't connect with the public a whole lot.
Okay.
And I want to create some relationships with the public. And Zach is getting ready to do the vendor fair, and that's going to be a chance for us to connect at least with some of the business community and the public if they show up, and I'm excited about that. And then the last thing, and when we talked about many of the things that we do, one of them is licensed businesses in Jackson. Okay. I want to make it easy to take a risk and open a business, because every business you open is a risk. Mm-hmm. It's not our job, at least in finance and accounting, to recruit business.
Right.
The chamber and some other people in this building do that job. What I want to do is make it as streamlined and as easy. If you decide to start a business and take that risk, make it easy for you to do that, so you don't have to figure out, do I need to do this form? Do I need to visit this office? Do I need to do that? And we're actually actively working on that. Okay. Those are my big goals.
Okay. And once you're ready, you let me know. And we'll get the word out. Okay. I'm excited about the future goals that you have, especially, like you said, animal care, recreation and parks. A lot of them, they're public facing. Like the public will interact with them a lot. Not necessarily a lot with revenue, finance, budget, but we're going to make it easier.
That's right.
We're going to do our best to make it easier for the public. Starting a business, let's go.
That's right.
Let's do it. Nathan Reed, Director of Budget, Finance, Account. I get those mixed up all the time. City Recorder.
That's it.
Nathan Reed. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you.
Kenny, thank you for having me.
I appreciate you coming on, man. So that does it for Lesson 24 of East Main 101. Don't forget to follow us on all of our government social media accounts and opt into our text alerts by visiting connect.jacksontn.gov. Also, be sure to visit eastmain101.jacksontn.gov to subscribe to our YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcast channels to listen to each lesson in its entirety. Until next lesson, class dismissed.